What's up, everybody, and welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a quick hit podcast to get you ready for the day. Today is Monday, June 24th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Pirates wrapped up a weekend series, losing 2 of 3 to the Tampa Bay Rays. We're going to talk quite a bit about that, some frustration, also stemming from Bob Nutting's surprising comments on Friday. Want to get into that. It's a big week for the Penguins as well. The NFL draft. The NHL draft is this weekend in Las Vegas. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight, which means you're going to see some more activity coming around July 1st, the start of free agency, etc. I want to talk about a couple things there, but I actually want to start with the Steelers. Before I tell you that, I want to remind you that we're sponsored by the North Shore Tavern. You don't have to be a baseball fan or football fan or any kind of fan to love it there. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates, though. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. So Steelers-wise, I was trying to strip a question that I had down to its most elemental. You know, are the Steelers a better team than they were last year? And I was having this internal debate. I would argue that they are. And here's why and how I thought about this. If you go position by position and grade that out, you know, give a win for a better, if there's no change, you know, give a tie, a loss equals no, something like that. You come out with a winning record by a pretty wide margin. And the positions I looked at, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight ends, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs. The only loss that I have for them at this point, and I do think it will correct at some point, is wide receiver. Losing Diontae Johnson, as frustrated as he may have made some people, I don't know if you can say they're discernibly better this season. They could be. They could be. At this point, there's quite a few wild cards with what Van Jefferson becomes, how quickly Roman Wilson matures, Scotty Miller, Quez Watkins, any of these guys. Like, if they turn into something, great. Maybe they're better, and maybe the Steelers make a move. But I think on paper right now, you could probably say the wide receiver group is less than it was last season. But where else? Where else? I would argue Russell Wilson and Justin Fields have improved the quarterback room. I'm not sure anybody would take issue with that. Running backs, I'm saying, is even from last year. I mean, it's basically the same guys. I don't have any reason to think things will change. Tight end is basically the same guys too, but I gave a win to them, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe you call that a tie. I'm not sure. But because of Arthur Smith's offense, and I think how those guys are going to be deployed versus what they did last season. I know early in OTAs, I wrote the column about Pat Freiermuth, and I certainly believe that. I think this is going to be a very important season for him. Everywhere Smith has gone, tight end has been a huge part of that. Offensive line, I gave an improvement to. I think the additions of Zach Frazier, Troy Fautanu, another year for Broderick Jones. I like what they've done up front. Like, is it perfect? Not quite, but I think there's a lot of pieces there that they can grow into. Defensive line still worries me a little bit about depth, but if we're talking year over year, I'm not sure you can say they're discernibly better or worse. Maybe somebody will take an issue with that with Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi being another year older, but I gave them an even mark. Linebackers, I would certainly say they're better. You're retaining all the same personnel and then adding Patrick Queen to that. Very good, in my opinion. I also gave a win to the defensive backs. We'll see what Donte Jackson and Deshaun Elliott bring. I happen to think they're going to be halfway decent. Another year under Joey Porter Jr.'s belt. Minkah Fitzpatrick getting back to Minkah ball, as he talked about in the OTAs and minicamp and whatnot. I don't see how the Steelers aren't a better team right now. So if you go through and add the wins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 wins, 1 loss, and ties 2. So you give them 5, 1, and 2 based on my criteria there. Again, just something small I was thinking about. But are the Steelers a better team? I would argue wholeheartedly they are. Switching topics a little bit, are the Pirates a better team? Yeah, I think they are. But I understand why Sunday was frustrating. I understand why the whole Rays series was frustrating, really. But the issue that I had, and I think other people had, and I'm seeing my email inbox and seem to resonate with people, is just, letting a winnable game get away. And I'm not blaming Colin Holderman. That's silliness. He's been so good. It's not his fault. Write that off. Brian Reynolds has been outstanding. But the lineup that was out there for Sunday, and it's a two-pronged thing. right? Like, let's not pretend that Derek Shelton has a bunch of all-stars in his dugout that he can play that he's just choosing not to. Like, flipping out over sitting Connor Joe is silliness. Like, Connor Joe has not been good enough in June, and I have no problem sitting him. But what that lineup looks like right now, when your owner comes out on Friday and says, like, yeah, offensively, we've underperformed. We need offensive help. Go get the offensive help, for crying out loud. Like, I understand it's June 24th or whatever. And, you know, it's a bit of a reaction based on one series. But at the same time, they can't keep doing this. They just can't, right? I mean, Michael A. Taylor, Yasmani Grandal. This is one of the stats that there were a bunch of stats in my column today that were mind-boggling to me. But the two of them have combined for 12 extra base hits this season. You're talking about $4 million and $2.5 million in salary. That's as many extra base hits as Brian Reynolds has in June. That can't happen. Yasmani Grandal, you can't sit here and say he's been Austin Hedges level of good defensively. You have to fix it. I like what Michael A. Taylor has brought defensively, but at the same time, over his past 54 games, he's hit just 135 with 3 extra base hits. That it can't happen. You're continuing to give at-bats to Jack Suwinski. Now, walking out of the clubhouse yesterday, Jack Suwinski's locker was extremely clear. There were no shoes in there, no personal clothes, no nothing. So I got a feeling he's probably on his way out, and they're going to bring somebody up. We'll see. Matt Gorski is somebody who's been really hitting the ball well. Could be an interesting swap there. You know, and you're also playing Jared Triolo. We're going through the bottom 4 from yesterday's lineup. Nobody has a lower OPS among qualifiers than Triolo, 563. That's not going to work. You have to fix that. I was talking to a scout last night. I thought I'd share this conversation about where things are at with the trade market. Now, he's obviously not making trades. He's evaluating players. But he's saying, like, make a move. There are 2 teams very clearly open for business right now, the Miami Marlins and the Chicago White Sox. Luis Robert, go get him. Jazz Chisholm. I don't know how I feel about Jazz Chisholm, but he's a 7.2 WAR player, according to Baseball Reference. Boy, would he look good in the outfield for the Pirates. Could hit some homers. Luis Robert, 38 home runs last season. I mean, that's not nothing. You could really, I mean, it's a lot of strikeouts, 264 average, whatever. But I mean, there's a lot to cling to, a lot that would help the Pirates. And I mean, my goodness, the owner is out there saying, do this. Who's calling these shots? Like, can't Bob just say, Ben, you're doing this. Go get a bat. I want to see a bat by Tuesday. I know it's a oversimplification. I understand that. But like, Bob is the owner of the team. It took me back to something that Bob actually said to me in the Dominican Republic in January. And I pulled this quote up for you guys. I think I wish we were further along this offseason than we are. I've seen how hard Ben has pushed. I've seen how close we've gotten on some deals, but we're only halfway through. I think there's still time. There's still a lot of work to be done. I think Ben understands those expectations. Now, let's put some context around this. Remember this offseason. Are they going to do anything? Are they going to do anything? Are they going to do anything to fix the starting rotation? Now, the emphasis maybe isn't the starting rotation right now. I mean, honestly, I would rather see them add offense and live with their starting rotation. I think their rotation's, fine, if not very good. But they had a lot of deals fall through. And here's the owner in that quote saying, I wish we would have gotten more done than we actually did. That's crazy to me that, they should be able to get a deal done, especially if the owner wants one done. Like, they are there to make. Like, might you overpay for Luis Robert right now? Yeah, you might. But if the owner wants that, do it. All right, getting up against it here. I want to mention a couple things Penguins-wise. Did you see the Leafs hired Marc Savard to run their power play? I found this fascinating. He also did the same with Craig Berube's power play with the Blues in 2019, 2020. What an interesting concept. Former player, somebody dedicated to just running the power play. And again, we don't know what exactly David Quinn is going to be doing for the Penguins. We know he's going to be coaching the defense, but the Penguins never specified in the release that he would be handling the power play. And I do think that's an area where the Penguins can maybe do things differently or drill down into something specifically and have somebody dedicated to just the power play. Doesn't have to be a former player, It's somebody to work through those concepts. And I was reading more about Marc Savard last night after falling down this rabbit hole a little bit. And he was talking about one of the things he doesn't ever want somebody to have the puck for too long. Loves puck movement, loves, things not being stagnant on the power play. That aligns with what Mike Sullivan wants. That probably abuts some of what the Penguins tend to do on the power play. But that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Different formations, a consistent formation. I still think they need somebody in that Phil Kessel spot in the left circle. I've talked about that before with Patrick Laine. Maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not. But having a definitive formation certainly helps. But puck movement, please, and not like puck movement the other way, allowing shorthanded goals. They've done that too. But it's an interesting concept to me to have somebody just dedicated to the power play, maybe a former player, maybe a recently retired former player, and allow Quinn to coach the defense. Mike Vellucci, let him handle the penalty kill, etc. Just gonna wait and see. It also got me thinking, and feel free to chime in here at J Mackey PG on X, J Mackey at post-gazette.com if you guys have any good suggestions. But I was thinking about this. What recently retired Penguin would you want to run their power play? Now, keep in mind, Phil Kessel is not retired. He might make a good one. Patrick Hornquist would be funny. He would just be yelling for people to get it to the front of the net, and he would crash and knock it in. Don't know. I don't have an answer to that. Just throwing that out there. If anybody has any good suggestions, prove to me you're watching. But that was interesting. So Game 7 tonight, going to be watching that. Really interesting with the Oilers, see if they can come all the way back and beat the Panthers. They would be the first team since the Maple Leafs in 1942 to do it. Have some targets I want to look at for the Penguins in free agency, but I'll save those to another day. We are back here every day. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get this video and all of the others from our great Post-Gazette writers and other columnists. Talk to you guys again back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching First 10.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.